powered by Riverside FM.
Everyday longevity, sleep, your power for aging well. Episode 4.
Welcome back to Everyday Longevity, where we explore the science-backed strategies that can help us die young at an old age. Living vibrantly and at our best, no matter what our chronological age. I'm Janice.
And I'm John. Last week in episode 3, we dove deep into satiety, inflammation, and how a low-carb, high-fat diet can support longevity. We had originally planned to discuss 16-8 intermittent fasting, but as we were preparing, we realized there was another foundational pillar that we needed to address first.
That's right. We decided to prioritize sleep because, as we discovered, without quality sleep, even the best nutrition strategies won't give you their full benefits. Don't worry, though. We'll definitely be covering intermittent fasting next week in episode 5, building on everything we've learned about nutrition and now sleep.
Today, we're diving deep into something that many of us, myself and Janice included, have taken for granted for years: sleep.
When Dr. Scherger first talked about the various anti-aging pillars, and he emphasized the importance of sleep, to be perfectly honest, I didn't take much note of it. Never having real problems sleeping, it never occurred to me to focus on it. For me, except for when John wakes me up because I'm snoring or the occasional late-night bathroom trip, sleep was pretty uneventful.
Same here, Janice. We're both pretty good sleepers, but when we started researching this topic and I began wearing my Apple Watch to bed to track our sleep patterns, we discovered something remarkable.
No kidding. We learned that sleep isn't just rest. It's what leading longevity expert Dr. Mark Hyman, another one of our favorites, calls a superpower for longevity. As Dr. Hyman puts it, by not prioritizing your sleep, you're accelerating the rate you age, sucking the energy out of every aspect of your life.
Boy, and that's a thought. Well, today we're going to share what we discovered about how sleep impacts aging. And we'll weave in insights from 3 of the most respected voices in functional medicine: Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Casey Means, and Dr. Chris Palmer.
John, let's start with something I've never heard of before: telomeres. Can you help our listeners understand what these are?
Oh boy, absolutely. Well, think of telomeres like the plastic tips on shoelaces. They're protective caps made of DNA and also protein that prevent the ends of chromosomes from fraying and sticking together. Every time a cell divides, these telomeres get a little shorter. When they become too short, cells can no longer divide and they eventually die.
And here's the kicker that blew my mind. Shorter telomeres are directly associated with increased age-related diseases. So what does that have to do with sleep?
Well, sleep deprivation literally shortens your telomeres, impairing cell division and repair, which speeds up biological aging. A groundbreaking 2017 study published in the journal Sleep found that people sleeping less than 6 hours had telomeres that were 10 to 15% shorter than those getting the optimal 7 to 9 hours.
That's not just correlation. That's our cells aging faster at the molecular level. You know I want to do cellular biology. But the cellular damage doesn't stop there. Poor sleep also increases what scientists call oxidative stress and inflammation. And that damages cells and tissues throughout your entire body.
And this directly contributes to age-related diseases like Alzheimer's and cardiovascular disease. Dr. Casey Means, author of Good Energy, emphasizes this connection in her work on metabolic health. She identifies food, sleep, exercise, and stress management as the biggest factors in determining your metabolic health.
Okay, so let's talk about what's happening in your brain during sleep, because this is where things get really interesting. John, can you explain the brain's cleaning system?
Oh boy. Well, during sleep, especially during REM sleep and also deep sleep phases, your brain activates what researchers call the glymphatic system, essentially a nighttime cleaning crew. This system clears out toxic proteins, including beta amyloids, which are directly linked to Alzheimer's disease.
The research here is downright sobering. A 2020 study in neurology showed that chronic sleep loss increases beta amyloid buildup by, can you believe, up to 30%? Another study from the same year found that seniors sleeping less than 6 hours per night had a 30% higher risk of cognitive decline over 5 years. And you know this is something that I'm really interested in.
Wow. Well, Dr. Chris Palmer's work also on brain energy provides crucial context here. Palmer's research shows that mental disorders are metabolic disorders of the brain, and sleep is fundamental to brain metabolism. When we don't get adequate sleep, we're literally starving our brains of the metabolic processes they need to function optimally.
And it's not just about preventing disease. Poor sleep activity makes your brain age faster. Reduced neuroplasticity from inadequate sleep accelerates memory decline and cognitive impairment, essentially giving you an older brain that your chronological age would suggest.
The statistics on this are startling. Quality sleep can reduce Alzheimer's by about 30% and cut fall risk by another 25%. These are not small numbers. We're talking about significantly altering your health trajectory just by prioritizing sleep.
I don't know about you, John, but my poor mother got dementia. I don't know if it was Alzheimer's in the last 2 years of her life. And it got really bad after she fell and broke her hip. And then shortly after that, fractured her pelvis.
Oh boy, I remember that. Yes, that was a tough time.
Now let's talk about something that hits close to home for many of our listeners, not just me. How sleep affects your physical appearance and metabolism.
Dr. Casey Means' research on metabolic health is particularly relevant here. She notes that sleep is absolutely critical to glucose regulation and metabolic fitness. So restricting sleep to 4 hours per night for just 5 days has been shown to significantly decrease glycemic control and metabolic fitness.
And this isn't just about blood sugar, though that's important. Sleep loss reduces skin elasticity and collagen production, leading to wrinkles and sagging skin. And I don't know about you, but I don't need any more. A 2013 study in clinical and experimental dermatology found that poor sleepers had 20% more visible wrinkles than good sleepers after just 1 month.
Janice, I know at 78, like you, neither of us need any more wrinkles or sagging skin. But there's more. Sleep disruption affects growth hormone release, which is critical for tissue repair and muscle maintenance.
And I'm also about muscle maintenance too. Having worked out for 35 years to build and maintain my muscle mass, I'm not about to let poor sleep contribute to losing it. But the hormonal impacts go even deeper.
Chronic sleep deprivation elevates cortisol, your stress hormone, which accelerates muscle breakdown and fat accumulation. These are literally hallmarks of aging. At the same time, it reduces melatonin, which isn't just about sleep regulation. Melatonin is a powerful antioxidant that protects against age-related damage.
Going back to Mark Hyman for a minute, he emphasizes this connection in his longevity work. He recommends stopping eating at least 3 hours before bed, partially to allow glucose levels and insulin levels to lower. Eating close to bedtime, especially high sugar and high fat meals, they can interfere with melatonin secretion and delay the onset of sleep.
The cardiovascular impacts are equally serious. Sleep loss raises blood pressure and increases inflammation. This goes towards increasing heart disease risk by about 35% in seniors, according to a 2019 study in the Journal of the American Heart Association.
And here's something that might surprise our listeners. Sleep directly affects your immune system's ability to protect you. Oh my. A 2023 study in Current Biology found that seniors sleeping less than 6 hours had a 20% weaker immune response to flu vaccines. And in our post-pandemic world, that's a significant concern.
Janice, let's address something that affects 15 to 20% of seniors, the connection between sleep and mental health.
Oh, this takes me back to over 20 years ago when I took our granddaughter to the D.D. Hirsch Mental Health Facility in Los Angeles for a school project. I was astounded at the number of seniors in that waiting room. Now at 76, I have a much greater understanding of why that was the case.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Chris Palmer's groundbreaking work on brain energy provides crucial insights here. Palmer emphasizes that as part of the comprehensive treatment program, I also think about exercise, sleep, and encouraging young people to address these fundamental metabolic factors affecting mental health.
And sleep deprivation doesn't just worsen existing mental health conditions, it can also trigger them. The brain's metabolic dysfunction from poor sleep creates a cascade effect that can lead to depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline.
And the stakes couldn't be higher. A 2015 meta-analysis in Sleep Medicine Reviews found that consistently sleeping less than 6 hours per night increases mortality risk by 13% in seniors. And this is due to the compounded effects on heart, brain, and immune health.
But there's encouraging news. This same research shows that getting consistent, quality sleep can add 12 to 15% to your life expectancy. We're not talking about small improvements here. We're talking about potentially adding years to your life. All right, now we've covered the why of sleep for longevity. Let's talk about the how. What can our listeners do to improve their sleep?
Well, Dr. Mark Hyman's approach to longevity emphasizes creating what he calls sleep architecture. In other words, consistent patterns that support your body's natural rhythms.
First, let's talk about light exposure. Getting 15 to 20 minutes of morning sunlight within the first hour of waking helps set your circadian rhythm, and I do that every morning. This is something both Casey Means and Dr. Hyman emphasize in their protocols.
Temperature regulation is critical too. The bedroom should be cool, ideally between 65, 68 degrees. Your body temperature naturally drops as you prepare for sleep, and a cooler environment supports this process.
And here's something that Casey Means emphasizes that connects to her metabolic health work. There's a J-shaped curve, meaning that less than 7 hours of sleep increased risk of metabolic dysfunction, but actually over 8 hours of sleep, you also see increased risk of metabolic dysfunction. The sweet spot, 7 to 8 hours for most people.
Electronic devices are sleep disruptors. The blue light interferes with melatonin production, and Dr. Palmer's work on brain energy suggests that overstimulation from screens can dysregulate the brain's metabolic processes needed for quality sleep.
So let's talk about breathing techniques. This is something anyone can start tonight. Try the 4-7-8 breathing pattern. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, essentially telling your body it's time to relax and prepare for sleep.
Box breathing is another great option. So breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, and then hold for another 4. So this is similar to meditation. And these breathing techniques help quiet the mind and reduce cortisol levels naturally.
So create a constant wind-down routine starting 30 to 60 minutes before bed. This might include gentle stretching, reading, journaling, or those breathing exercises we just mentioned. The key is consistency. Your brain and body need predictable signals that it's time to sleep.
Here are some other practical tips that can make an immediate difference. Keep a notepad by your bedside. If your mind is racing with tomorrow's to-do list, write it down so you can let it go. Also, consider blackout curtains or an eye mask. Even small amounts of light can disrupt melatonin production.
And don't forget about your feet. Cold feet can actually keep you awake. I know our daughter sleeps with socks. Try wearing socks to bed or using a heating pad for a few minutes before sleep. It sounds simple, but it works.
And here's something that Dr. Hyman practices himself. Stop eating at least 3 hours before bed. Late night eating, especially high sugar or high fat foods, disrupts both sleep quality and metabolic health. If you must have something, try herbal tea like chamomile or passion flower.
You know, John, I always talk about our individual health bank, and our everyday lifestyle choices can either make a deposit or a withdrawal. Getting proper sleep is definitely a deposit into your health bank.
Exactly, Janice. Quality sleep represents consistent deposits that compound over time to keep us vibrant, while sleep loss creates withdrawals that deplete our health reserves.
Here's our challenge for the week. Choose one sleep strategy we discussed today, whether it's getting morning sunlight, creating a cooler sleep environment, or establishing a consistent bedtime routine, and try it for 7 days.
Track how you feel. Pay attention to your energy, mood, and mental clarity. Remember, everyone is different, and you have the power to choose and change the course of your health.
Begin making the changes you know instinctively you need to make today. You only get one body to live this life in. Treat it well.
Boy, that's so true. Anyway, thanks for joining us on Everyday Longevity. Next week, we'll be diving into that intermittent fasting discussion we promised, exploring how 16/8 intermittent fasting can work synergistically with everything we've learned about nutrition and sleep. Until then, sleep well and age vibrantly.
Sweet dreams, everyone.
See you next week.